What's up, guys? War here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm bringing you another build guide. We are playing Stormweaver now, and we're doing a ball lightning warp combination. This build is absolutely insane. So I'm bringing you the very first one. It's a leveling version that we're going to take through the campaign. I'm only in Act 2 Cruel. I swapped to this once I got to basically in the middle of Act 1, kind of into Act 2 right at the beginning, and it has been an absolute godsend. This build is really fun. So we're going to talk about it, but first things first, I got to give a big shout out to Lexu for the build because it's insane. So big shout out to him for the build. This is fantastic. So let's go ahead and break down everything that you guys need to make the transition from Firewall Spark into Lightning Ball or Ball Lightning Warp to go into maps once you get through Cruel. So a few things first, we're going to go over the gear pieces. There's a few things that you absolutely 100% need. So the first thing is you're going to need the 3 Dragons mask or helmet. You can start using this helmet at level 45, so that is when I would suggest that you switch. So it just depends on when you get to that in the campaign, whether it's in Cruel Act 1, because you've been grinding, or just at Cruel Act 2. But you 100% need this helmet because it's going to make all of our stuff just deal freeze buildup. All lightning damage from hits contribute to freeze buildup instead of shock chance, which we want to freeze our enemies so that way we can cast Lightning Conduit for free with cast on freeze. So you 100% need this this helmet. When I was checking the trade site, it's about 1 exalt for it, so it's pretty cheap right now, so definitely go and grab it. Next, for your gear pieces, you need 2 different staffs. We'll talk about the weapon swap shortly, but you really don't need that going through Cruel. This is really just going to be for bosses and just like once you get into maps, but in the campaign, this works really well for bosses. So the first thing is you need a regular staff here. The main things that you're looking for is spell damage plus to lightning spell skills, and then like increased extra damage, so extra flat damage. Those are really good. On your second staff, you 100% need the Chimming Staff because this grants Sigil of Power. Okay, Sigil of Power is going to be a huge damage boost. Sigil of Power, if we come in here, Sigil of Power says that minimum 1 second between gaining stages. It's a 3-meter radius. Gains a stage when you spend 50% of your maximum mana while in the area. Maximum 4 stacks. You grant 13% more spell damage per stage. So basically, you can drop this thing down, right? And then you can cast a bunch of stuff, and then I gain a bunch of stages, and then we can cast Lightning Conduit, and bang, just destroy everything. So you will need this staff. It will swap, which is very important. We only want this to swap on Sigil of Power, but Lightning Conduit, but we will get into that in just a second. But on this one, you want, again, spell damage, increased lightning spell skills, and then most important, the increased critical spell damage bonus. Very important because we're going to making it a crit style. So back to 1. So those are only the main gear pieces that you guys actually need. The rest is going to be just normal gear stuff where you get all of your different resistances, increase to mana. You want mana on absolutely everything. I'm only level 55, so I got a long way to go as far as my gear pieces here, because you want mana on everything, because we will be stacking mana because we're going to be using Eldritch Battery. So before we get into the skills, let's go talk about the passive tree. So we are a Stormweaver. Now this build can work as a Chronomancer, but Stormweaver is just better because of this node right here with Strike Twice. Targets can be affected by 2 of your shock skills at the same time, which is very important. We don't care about them actually being shocked. We just want to hit them with multiple shock skills. Very strong. The next and most important one is Constant Gale, which gives you Arcane Surge. Arcane Surge is going to give more cast speed as well as mana regen because we are going to be using a lot of mana. 1 and 2, because we're using Eldritch Battery, we're taking nodes where hits against us are going to go from our mana pool first instead of our hit points. So into the tree is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward here. What we're going to do is just take some mana regen, some increased cast speed. Path of Storms is very strong for the lightning damage and chance to shock. We're going to come over here and take Altering Current for more mana regen and increased magnitude. Increased magnitude of our shock is going to be very important in this build. We're taking the ailments for overexposure. So when we deal damage to these guys, the lightning exposure and cold exposure will reduce the resistances even more, so we can just absolutely destroy them. We're going to be taking Touch the Arcane for increased Arcane Surge effect. We're taking the elemental nodes here, Breaking Point for more ailments, as well as All Natural for more damage. Then, of course, we're taking Arcane Intensity for increased spell damage for per maximum mana. Then we're taking EB to switch all our shield. This is very important. And then last but not least, right, at least for right now, we're taking Lucidity for all damage taken from mana before life. Eventually, we will be coming over here. I've already started the path. We're going to come get Mental Perseverance for even more damage because the nodes will give us some mana regen and even more damage taken. So this is the tree right now. It's pretty simple, guys. The biggest part about this tree is having these jewel slots, okay? We're going to have a lot of jewel slots, and these jewel slots are very important. The two biggest stats that we want is increased magnitude of shock that you inflict. That's one. And then second, I don't have any yet because the trade site's down and I'm trying to get some. But the next one is going to be more of the damage taken from mana before life gems. We want to get damage taken from mana as high as possible. I think my current damage taken from mana is only 16%. We want to get this to above 50, if not even higher. Now, before you ask, we aren't taking Mind Over Matter just yet. But right now we're going to take the other nodes because we just don't have any spots to really take that yet. I need to stack some more mana. Maybe once I get into maps, I'll consider taking Mind Over Matter. But right now, just because of the cost of my skills and everything, taking Mind Over Matter right now will deplete my mana. So until I have my mana issue solved, I'm not going to take that just yet. So those are the jewels that you want. And we've go ahead and socketed a lot of these jewel slots here just to get these in. It doesn't matter what the other stats are actually on your jewels. I opted for like increased cast speed. Crit hit chance for spells is really good. Increased cold damage or something else that can give some flat damage. That's always nice. So the tree is pretty solid. So now we're going to go into the skills here. So Sigil of Power, we're only going to be using this for bosses, right? Again, we're just going to throw down our sigil. We're going to cast some stuff, and then we're going to go ahead and launch our main attack for Lightning Conduit to destroy the bosses. But inside here, we're doing Second Wind for less cooldown. We're doing Ingenuity for increased cooldown recovery rate, and then we're doing Persistence for more skill effect duration. Very important. Now, our two main skills, as you guys can see, we got this, and then we're going to Lightning Warp on this guy, and then they just die, right? Make sure you have your stuff out, and they just instantly die. It's so fun, so easy to play, right? So I'm Ball Lightning. Now, I know I have 4 slots here. This is corrupted. Same thing with my Cast on Freezes is corrupted. Before I tell you that you need to have 4 slots, you do not. While you're leveling, 3 slots will do. It may be a little bit like less effective in some ways, but we can make it work. It'll be just fine. So on Ball Lightning, because this is not our main damage skill. Lightning Warp is, Cast on Freeze with Lightning Conduit is, and then as soon as I hit 58, we'll have, Archmage, which is going to scale the damage exponentially. So right now we have Ball Lightning. We're doing Scatter Shot, so we get 2 more, right? Then we got Unleash for even more damage. Mobility here, which is great. I love this. I love being able to move so fast and cast. It just makes dodging monsters so much easier. And then the last one is Arcane Tempo, so we have more cast speed. We're basically kind of like +5 in a way because we lose 20% here. But this is what we have on Ball Lightning. Now, if you do not have a 4-slotter, I don't know how much these are, 4-slot Ball Lightnings on the trade site. So if you don't have one and you don't want to try to corrupt one, then what I would suggest that you end up taking off is probably, because you could probably swap these two. Leave Unleashed and leave Scattershot and either pick Mobility or Arcane Tempo for your last one. Now, if you guys do not know how to get a 4-slot from corrupting, it's very simple. You're just going to take a gem. You're going to add a Lesser Jeweler Orbs to it to give it 3 slots. And then you could use a Val Orb, which can give it 4 slots. It's chance. It's random, so you may not get 4 slots, but if you do get the Val Orb can give it a 4 slot. So just keep that in mind. Also keep in mind if you do that, you can't change the quality of this gem, so make sure you quality it first like I did. But you can still increase the level of the skill gem, so just keep that in mind. On Lightning Warp, we got magnified effects, so it has a bigger AoE, so that way when we dash to it, that big ring is the AoE. Then we got, Overcharge for even more magnitude of shock. And then Lightning Exposure to drop their resistances even more with the exposure, which is great. It does less damage, but it's okay. We still do an insane amount of damage. It's no big deal. Eventually, we will go 4 slots here, but for right now, this works perfectly. Cast on freeze. I know. Cast on freeze did get nerfed. However, in this build, it works perfect. It still works almost like normal. You will see this meter go up. I'm going to go fight some monsters here in a second. But this is so good. Okay? So we got cast on freeze with lightning conduit. This is going to deal a crap ton of damage. Then we got energy retention to help give some energy back when we actually trigger this. We got impetus for even more energy gain. And then lastly, we got considered casting, which gives some more damage, right? Lightning conduit do a little bit more damage. Very good here. If you don't want to do 4, the only thing that you're going to take out, you will remove the considered casting because you want the energy back here. So you run lightning conduit with energy retention and impetus. Now, on to lightning conduit manual. Okay, we're doing concentrated effect for more damage. We got super critical for more crit. And then we got inevitable critical for more crit. This is going to be a big damage dealer to bosses, okay? We only manually cast this against bosses. That is it. That's the only time that we're going to do it. So basically, you drop down your sigil. You deal some damage. You can even use your lightning warp to freeze the boss and then drop the lightning conduit here. You see how long it takes to cast, but it's going to do so much damage. Now, you don't have to do this through the campaign, but having that extra staff here on the weapon swap will make the damage scale exponentially. We'll have to do some more stuff in the passive tree later, but for right now, have this staff, have it geared to it. And if you guys don't know, you come in here, press this arrow. Let me hide my camera real quick so you guys can see it. There's the 2 nodes here. You want to pick weapon slot 2. Just check that. Check off the weapon slot 1. So that way, whenever you cast this skill, it'll only use the secondary staff. Very important. Next, we got Mana Tempest here just for some extra damage on a boss. So what you could do with Mana Tempest, you can just drop it, deal some damage, right? Pop in. Or you could do Mana Tempest and like Lightning Conduit and deal a crap ton of damage. It's just an extra flare. You don't actually need it, but it does work. Next is Conductivity with Heightened Cursed for more effect, as well as Focus Cursed. So this is just going to drop their lightning resistance even more, which is great. I mainly pretty much only use this on bosses or a yellow like an elite if you're having issues with, but that's it. So those are the skills, guys. Very straightforward. Now, how this build plays is it's a little confusing because the text doesn't read effectively. So basically, when you throw a lightning ball or a ball lightning, you can use lightning warp to lightning warp into one of those balls. Also, when a monster gets frozen by these, there's a little blue icon that appears above their head. But basically what you're going to do is you're just going to see how he's frozen. Then we can lightning warp in. So the idea of play here is you just throw one, you kind of run with it, and then just kill these guys, throw one, lightning warp in, kind of follow it, right? And then the lightning conduit triggers, and you're just moving along. So it took me a little bit like to get used to the play style of this, because my first instinct was to just throw a bunch, kind of sit back and then try to teleport. But no, you're just kind of traveling with the ball lightnings, because when you freeze them, you get to just hit them again, which makes it very, very fun, very easy. It makes clearing incredible, right? So I just throw one of these, dodge stuff, hit these guys, they're dead. Maybe throw a couple more, hit all these guys, they're dead. Dodge roll out of the poison, hit it again. All these guys are dead. The damage is so far above like Firewall and Spark. It's insane. And for clearing, this is just going to be incredible. Now, if I hit Arcane Lightning Conduit, bam. You can see me just completely annihilate one of the mobs. Like it's... And this can also be against, you know, elites or whatever that you guys want. I almost died there for the video. That would have been really bad. So it takes a little bit to getting used to. And then once, like I said, once you hit 58, you're going to get a huge damage spike because you're going to get Archmage, which non-channeling skills will gain 5% damage as extra lightning for each 100 maximum mana you have. But it costs additional mana, but we don't care about that. And then the nodes that you're going to, or the support gems you're going to put on here is Clarity for more mana regen, which is huge because this is an active skill. It's a spirit skill, so you can't get this until you get 100 mana. So once you hit Act 3, you'll get your other 60 mana. The only reason that I have 100 right now is because I have an amulet that gives me 40. So you're going to need more spirit. Once you hit 58, you're going to need more spirit. So you need to get spirit on your amulet and possibly a chest piece to rock this for 100, and then cast on freeze is another 60. So you need at least 160, but you're going to need a little bit more because of all your support gems. So you probably need to be somewhere to like 180 or so, maybe 190. So you need to get a chest piece with like 50 or 42 spirit on it, and then you'll be good. But I'll make an update to that once we actually get to the end game, because that's when I'll be using this. So that's the build, guys. It's pretty insane. I absolutely love this build. This is our second sorceress because I was doing Chronomancer, and I've been having so much fun with this to actually play some lightning builds, which I'm really excited about. It's just so fun. You just blast through absolutely everything. It is so good. The AoE on it is just phenomenal. The boss damage is incredible as well. I can go, let's see, we can probably go fight one boss, and then you see when the lightning, like the cast on freeze hits, it's so good, man. And you guys can see, like, the charges build up pretty quick. Like, they build up pretty quick. The more monsters, like, I freeze these guys, and it builds up pretty fast. So we hit this, and then lightning conduit's going to trigger, and it's just so good. So it triggered, and I'm already back to 80%. Like, it's really good. This build is really fun. I'm almost through Act 2 Cruel. Now, one negative that I will say about this build, we just leveled, fantastic, that you got to watch out for is because you're so close on these monsters, is getting stunned. Okay, so getting stunned is a real problem on this build. As you can see, I've almost died a couple times from the stun. So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to kind of avoid that. The first kind of solution to that is just using the cannot be stun charm. In the passive tree, though, you have these 3 notes here, which give you stun threshold if not stunned recently. If I haven't been stunned, you get 20, 20, and 60. So those will be the next like 3 nodes that I will take after I get down to this, or I may take it now. It just depends, but just be mindful of that when you're going through, because remember, a lot of your damage is going to be taken from mana before life, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, guys, this is the leveling version to get through the campaign and do this. I wouldn't suggest doing this until you're 46 because you need the helmet. It really scales the damage exponentially. But after that, you could just cruise all the way to maps. The build is super fun. So yeah, guys, like the video. Comment down below. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this. I'll be sure to answer them down in the comment section. Don't forget to sub if you're new, guys. And as always, stay gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.